Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
She's an actress, an author, and you probably seen her in Housewives of Beverly Hills. And a model. Can't forget model. Garcelle Beauvais, welcome.
Thank you.
Sac passe.
Naboule.
Hey.
I love it. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
How's your energy?
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still on LA time. I'm a little, I'm getting through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's your energy? I've never had anybody say that.
Well, no, I think that's a very important question to ask. You know, people say how you doing, and when you say how you doing, it's kind of like a generic thing to ask.
Yeah.
So people give generic answers. So when you say how's your energy,
you don't even hear it.
That's right. So when you say how's your energy, you got to really think about it. Like, oh,
I love that.
you gave a real answer. You're like, I'm still on LA time.
Yeah, but I'm
Take
good.
it.
My energy's great. I feel grounded and happy and grateful.
I got it from my therapist. Run with it.
Okay, good. I will.
Now, do people call you fancy? That was the first
Lord.
thing.
Oh, my
gosh.
One of our
Lord.
producers said, they was like,
All
you gotta
the
call us fancy, but we know you as fancy
Yeah.
for so long.
All the
Do you hate
time. No, I love it because I feel like as a performer, you want people to relate to something. So I hate when I hear people go, I don't want to be called that. But it's like everybody connected to that show and to that character. So it's a good thing.
I saw you and Jamie Foxx had a discussion too about you would, be open under the right circumstances to bring back the Jamie Foxx show.
I would. We had a blast. I mean, that's when, Jamie was, he was still doing stand-up and traveling while we were doing that show. But we connected. I would love to do it. I'd go back in a heartbeat and do a reboot.
So you a rose bearer in Coming to America?
Mm-hmm. When we did the first one, if somebody told me like 30 years from now, we're going to do a sequel, like no one would believe that.
Right.
Did you like the sequel?
I did.
It was not good.
Oh, shit.
The original is amazing because that's my favorite
Well,
movie
the
ever.
original, I mean, you can never really top an original, right? That's why it's an original. But I thought they did a good job. I liked, I liked it.
Do you remember how you felt when you first got casted to be the Roseberry Priestess back in the day?
Well, the interesting thing is I actually auditioned for the role of Lisa, which I had no business doing because I knew nothing about acting. I had never done anything before. And so when John Landis called my agency, I was modeling then, and he was like, if she wants to get into acting, this would be a great way for her to be on set to see how it goes. And so it was a great experience.
How was that experience? Break it down, because that's, like I said, that's my favorite movie ever.
It was great. It was great. I mean, we didn't know this movie was going to be iconic. We just knew that Eddie Murphy was a huge star and was, on the rise even more. And I remember thinking, every beautiful woman is on this set. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was great. Arsenio, that was his first thing. And, and we did there was one take he had to do, I think, of coming in and saying, "Good morning, Your Highness," and I swear to God, it was like 22 takes.
Really? Goodness gracious.
Was it the lines? Was it his?
I don't know what it was, but I mean, you had Paula Abdul doing choreography. I mean, it was major.
I'm glad you said that too, because I often wonder, when you come up in the 80s and 90s and you're a part of all of these things that are iconic now, did you know in the moment?
Not at all. Wow. I mean, I was just happy to be a part of it. No one knew this movie was going to become what it became, and it like you said, iconic.
What did people think of black cinema back then?
We didn't have enough of it.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough of it. We weren't really represented. We weren't really seen like that, back then. I think we, as the community, wanted more stuff with us in it, but Hollywood wasn't really up to speed back then.
That's crazy, even with Eddie Murphy being the biggest star, period, black or white.
Black or white, period. I remember Beverly Hills Cop, when that came out, that was huge,
Did you get paid much back then or not at all?
No. I mean, you were lucky to be, lucky to be on set. Yeah, exactly.
Per diem?
Yeah, per diem for sure.
Yeah.
You got $30 or something a day. But, it was the experience for me. I had never been on a set, where there were real actors. It wasn't just, a music video or something like that.
Before we get to the book, I always wondered, why did you decide to do Housewives of Beverly Hills? Like, what got you into that?
What got me into it was a few things. First of all, I was a fan of the franchise, and I obviously had friends in Beverly Hills. But as an actor, I was traveling so much. My kids were about to go to middle school. As it is, because I'm divorced, I have them half of the time, and I really wanted to do something that was going to keep me in LA. So that was a big factor in it.
Did it mind that, that some of the franchises, they fight, they argue, they call each other names?
Yeah, that was tough for me. I mean, it's still tough for me. That's the hardest part of the job because we're supposed to be friends. But I
Supposed to be
wouldn't.
adults.
Well, that too. But we're supposed to be friends, and sometimes it's like I wouldn't be friends with somebody who can throw me under the bus too. So that's the challenge for me on the show.
Do you ever
That's
wish a
really what I have hard
motherfucker would on that show?
to- Sometimes.
And one cat ever threw your book in the trash.
Yes, she did. I thought she was triggered about something. What are you gonna do?
The book is here, Love
That's
Me
right.
As I Am.
Yes.
And I was wondering, do you feel like, I feel like God looked out for you a lot. Even just you getting into modeling and the whole way that it happened, it was like destiny, fate, but then it has to be God too.
I agree. I mean, God all the way through, good and bad, even the things that were,
That's right.
hard for me or brought me to my knees. I needed those things to get to the other side of it. And I feel like, yeah, for sure, my whole career is based on, my perseverance and tenacity, because I went after a lot on my own. But for sure, God was with me the entire way. Even when I was going through, just found out that, I was betrayed in my marriage, I remember driving to the beach, because that's the place I feel like I can get grounded. And I remember hearing, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, even in the midst of the pain that I was going through. And I had to believe that. And I feel like if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
No, God is everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't even like to say God is good because Chick-fil-A is good. God
All
is
the time.
great.
My kids love Chick-fil-A.
I love it too.
Everybody loves Chick-fil-A.
Everybody.
Now, if you could ask your mother some things that you never had a chance to ask her, what are some questions that you would want to know?
I would have loved to have known where she got her strength from. To be a single mom, to bring us to the United States on her own. I would have loved to have found out, what she loved about my dad. Because I feel like when parents get divorced, if you're only living with one parent, you only know that side of the story. And there's two stories to everything. I would have liked to have known my father's story. I would have liked to have known his side of it.
Why is that?
Because I think it would have made me understand him a little more, and I would have had more compassion and sympathy for him, as opposed to not wanting anything to do with him, because he left when I was 3. He came back when I was 14, and that didn't last, and I didn't know him. And I didn't think I needed a dad. And now that I know better, of course I needed a dad.
Yeah, the wildest thing in the world is that we really don't know who our parents were before they were our parents, and then when they're our parents, we only know them as our parents.
That's right.
We don't humanize them the way that we should.
That's right.
Until you actually have a conversation with them as adults, and you realize, oh, that's why you were the way you were.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have known, certain things like that. I would have asked her.
How do you think it affected, your relationship with men? Your relationship?
Oh, absolutely. Daddy issues for sure. I think, your father is your first love, right? That's your barometer. So if you don't have that, I think you can have misconceptions of what you think that love should be. So I do think that I think I tried to marry men that were like my dad, but that's not what I needed.
Did it make you not trust men?
No, believe it or not, I trust everybody, and that's my thing. I trust first, and then I let you reveal who you are to me. Even after my divorce, I'm not untrusting at all.
That's because you trust yourself.
Yeah, more than ever. More than ever. And I found out that I had to love myself more than I had to love the other person.
It was interesting in the book you talk about your the affair and you getting a divorce, but then also bringing up the point that in Hollywood it wasn't uncommon, right? So some people might think, oh, he cheated. Well, you can work it out.
Yeah.
No big deal. What made you decide that there was no going back?
For me, because I felt it would have changed my spirit. It would have changed who I was. I would have been this girl who's like, where are you going? Who are you talking to? Why are you late? And I didn't want to live with that angst, and I didn't want to raise my kids with that angst. I thought I would do them a disservice to be the kind of mom that was so on edge about everything, and that's not who I am. So we are great co-parenting. I mean, we're a family. He's over at Thanksgiving. We go to games together. We're still a family. He's just not my husband.
How long did it take to get to that point? Because sometimes the initial breakup is like, I don't want you around me. Like, what was that process?
We were just talking about Kim and Kanye. They said at first they didn't speak for 8 months.
Listen, it is hard because that's the person you trusted the most, right?
That's supposed to be your best friend.
That's supposed to be your everything. And, like I said, the person you trust the most. For me, it was important that I got through it quicker than I would have because my kids were only 3. And so I went to therapy. I got a life coach. I couldn't hate the man that they love so much. So I had to figure it out.
Did you not think maybe he could change, evolve, grow?
I didn't have that kind of time.
Did he try?
Because I felt like it was too big. It was too big.
What the
affair? It was too big.
So
did
it wasn't
he
just
try,
one
or
person.
You just wasn't. It was.
I mean, he was remorseful. I think if we weren't. No, it wasn't going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my kids are great. They benefited from us being able to co-parent really beautifully.
Were you real with your kids and told them everything that happened, or
no? And they're not going to read the book. They told me, which is
they
thank God. Thank God.
They might see this interview.
Yeah, I think my kids know enough to know that something happened. I don't think they've Googled. I don't think their life is good, so I don't think they want to know. And they love their dad. I don't think they want to see him differently.
right?
And I'm cool with that. I mean, I think when they get to a certain age, they'll understand.
I want you to expound on this line. In chapter 5 of the book, you talk about my mother, whom I cherished and adored, chose to fully participate in the pain and turmoil my father brought to her life. How does one fully participate in the pain and turmoil somebody brings to their life?
I think how I saw it is the fact that I think she was longing for him for the longest time, as opposed to saying, you know what, this is the way it is and I'm going to move on. I think there was a longing. I think there was, like she fully didn't let go.
Mm.
And I think that is in a way of participating and holding on to the pain.
Mm.
I was going to ask, how painful was it to write the book, if at all? Because you had to relive some of the stuff that you went through.
What was hard was some of the things that I thought that I was over, in redoing it brought back some feelings, almost like PTSD, if you will. You know what I mean? But I thought it was important for people to understand me and also my journey. And women go, life happens to all of us. It's how we recover.
Mm-hmm. How did you deal with it? Because I know, like me and my wife, we wrote a book, but we were together to deal with all that pain and things like that. So who did you talk to? Who was your person to say, hey, I need this conversation right now?
My girlfriend, Nicole Smith, who we wrote the book together, she was the one that we went through it, and she was like, okay, are we going to unpack this? And then when we did, she's like, let's have some wine. I'm around later if you want to talk to me. So it was just a process of like what we want to share, what we, felt was important, what we felt didn't really add to anything.
And you said you've been to therapy before, so this wasn't the first time you've explored like your inner child, right? And the trauma that your child.
I mean, I didn't go to therapy until my divorce.
Okay.
I didn't do it prior, but it really helped me. I mean, my therapist was like, don't try to put a Band-Aid on it. Like, really go through the pain so that you can really just be done with it, as opposed to just trying to numb it, but yet it's still festering in me. So she said, whatever you're scared of doing, do that to get out of the negative headspace. She was like, if you write with your right hand, write with your left, because you're concentrating so much that you're not in that headspace. And I wrote a children's book because of the, what I was going through. I always wanted to, but it always scared me. And then I ended up writing 3 books called the I Am series.
What from your childhood kept showing up as an adult?
I think my dad's stuff.
Dad's stuff.
I think not forgiving. And then I think I finally realized that, we hold our parents to such high standards because they're our parents. We think they're perfect, right? But how he grew up shaped who he was.
That's right.
Who he became. So I have no control over that, right? So I think he did the best he could, especially culturally. An island man, there's a lot put on them that they don't always unpack.
No, it's the same. I gave my dad a whole lot more grace for him and my mom's situation. Once I spoke to him and he told me he tried to commit suicide years ago, and he was dealing with his own mental health issues, and he was on 10 to 12 different medications, and he was going to therapy. Like, that just made me like, oh, he's just a human doing the best he could.
Right.
That's it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
And
right.
your father
Wow, good for you.
he did end up coming back into your life, like you said, when you were 14. But the way he entered back in wasn't the
ideal
way for you.
No, he wasn't loving and nurturing. He was very strict, and I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel loved by him, or seen by him. So that was really hard,
Is there an ideal way to, like, how could he have come back that would have made you say, because it was like he kind of just inserted himself back in, this person that you didn't even really have a connection with.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a daughter, I would have loved to have been loved or maybe explained or said, I'm sorry. And I didn't grow up with parents saying, I'm sorry. I apologize to my kids now if I didn't handle something.
Same.
But I didn't grow up with anybody
Right.
apologizing to me.
Hell no.
Okay? Nobody. And so I would have liked a little bit more love.
You know what I loved about your mom? When you were talking about certain situations where you would go to her and tell her this happened, you know,
She took care of it.
this guy, you know, opened the door butt naked, her boyfriend, and she was like, next day gone.
Yep.
Never talk to him again. Because sometimes parents don't believe their kids, or your kids don't feel protected because you don't want to feel like she chose this man over me, or I can't tell her this because she won't believe me, or she'll think it's my fault.
Right.
But you felt confident enough to be able to tell her what happened.
I did, and she took care of it. My mom was so strong. So strong. I mean, she's my shiro. I say that because that's all I knew. I mean, she was the example of being strong and independent and, you know, and just took care of us. You know, when all by
when I was
herself.
into that, I was like, Lord, please don't tell me this is about to go left.
No.
Right.
No. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I was going to ask, when you talk about your parents and how strict your dad was,
Yeah.
do you take that sometimes as that's how Caribbean families were?
Yes.
It's like, because, you know, anybody I know that's
You're not wrong.
Caribbean descent, they are strong, they are protective, and they make sure that their kids are in strict. It's a dictatorship.
And they're not going to
totally.
tell you I love you.
Totally.
And never
Right,
say I love you,
exactly. You're seen and not heard. You know what I mean? And I think that's why when I had the opportunity to leave at 17 to come to New York to start my modeling career, I was like, sign me up. You know, but that strict upbringing kept me in check even when they weren't around. And I was in New York by myself.
Especially
at
back
17.
then, Haitian, Jamaican.
Right?
Anyone from the Caribbean islands, they the most strict, to make sure they ran the right way.
That's right. That's right. And I'm now looking back.
You understand a little bit more.
Totally. And they did the right thing. You know what I mean? And sometimes I think now we try to be our kids' friends when we really need to be their parents.
I was going to
That's
ask that. How is that with you raising your kids now?
Oh,
Are
they
you
think
as
I'm strict. Yeah, but I'm not as strict as like my girlfriend Nicole, who my boys always go, Mom, you're strict, but Nicole's out of control. Like, because she's Jamaican. So I'm strict in certain things are important to me. Manners, respect. But also at the same time, they're allowed to say how they feel respectfully.
Right.
You know, like the other day I had something with Jax and I stopped talking and he walked out of the room and then he came back in and he goes, you know, Mom, when you stop talking, it really hurts my feelings. And I would have never been able
How
to
old
say
is
that to he's 14.
That's beautiful
And
that he
yeah.
has that language.
Yeah. Oh, he is unbelievable. And he goes, that really hurt my feelings. Can you work on that?
I love that. That's
And then what did you
mindfulness.
say? Yes.
I said, I will.
I'm sorry.
I will,
There
and
you
I'm glad
go.
you did. I'm glad you were able to say that to me. Yeah.
Now you live, of course, you live in Beverly Hills. So
Yes.
I'm 100% positive your kids go to school with a lot of white kids, and a lot of times they parent their kids a lot different. So how do you
They have running jokes at the house. They're like, oh, only a black mama. All the time.
So how do you make sure that they don't fall into that category? Because every once in a while, your kids like to fall out. But where did you learn that from? And then you realize that they learned it from school.
Right.
So how do you make sure they don't do that?
I say not in this household. That is not going to fly
That's a
over
Caribbean
here.
mother, right?
Totally.
That's a black
not
mom right
in this
there.
household.
That's
for sure.
That's any black parent.
Right,
Not in
exactly.
this
Not in this
house.
household. No
But
way.
your oldest son was the only black kid in the school, right? When he was.
No, he went to school that was pretty diverse. I mean,
Okay.
not a lot, but there were a few of us. You know, he went to school with the Washingtons, Denzel's, Olivia, and Malcolm were at the same school. So there was some diversity.
Okay, and then so another thing that you were conscious of when it came to your kids was making sure they weren't too spoiled.
That's huge.
I don't know how you do that though.
Yeah,
how do you
how
do
do
I
you
know
do
that's
that?
the
How
tough
do you do
part
that?
because you want to give them opportunities that you didn't have, but you
right.
have to toe that line though, because I remember my son was like, I want Yeezys for Christmas. I'm like, unless Kanye West walks in here with Yeezys, you're not getting them.
Not even for Christmas?
Not even for Christmas.
Goodness
No, but
gracious.
I ended up getting them. But it's not. But you
You said
can't.
Christmas.
No, you had to for Christmas.
Right.
But you have to walk the balance of you can't have everything, when you want it.
Correct.
There's got to be some weight. Like the other day, Jax came up to me and he said, I want to go to the mall on the weekends. Is there anything I can do to earn it? I was blown away that he said that. You know what I mean? Because normally kids nowadays, it's like, can I just get whatever? So I gave him some stuff to do. And then his brother's like, I'll give you money too. if you can win a video game for me because
That's
he's
the
really
way.
good at it.
Yeah, because you don't even know if they're learning anything, right? Like my daughter can do something that I told her not to do. Mm-hmm. I tell her that she shouldn't be doing that, and then like 12 hours later, hey, I want these sneakers, and I get them. So there's no discipline. Like don't feel like there's no discipline.
That's what's hard. But you want to give them what you didn't have, but you don't want to go overboard, right? Because you want them to be grateful. You want them to want to work. And I feel like sometimes we do a disservice by giving them everything.
Yeah.
Because then there's no drive, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I think if my kids have good grades and they have manners and they do what they're supposed to do, I kind of give them whatever.
Do you?
I give them everything, but as long as they do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
good grades, they act right, they're respectful, they do their household chores, they take care of their brothers and sisters.
Good.
I kind of open it up for them.
Good.
You know, I was gonna ask
Listen, we do the best we can.
I was gonna ask how was the pandemic for you?
Woo! It was tough.
You got 3 boys.
I have 3 boys. Well, Oliver's out of the house. The only thing we did to stay consistent, we let the boys go back and forth. We wanted something, and we didn't want one parent not to have the other have the kids. So we did that. But when I didn't have them, it was tough because I'm so used to being busy that it was hard just staying still. And what I realized that I had to do is stop planning a week ahead, right? Just go one day at a time. Get through today. Don't plan for the weekend because you couldn't go anywhere. Club quarantine saved my life.
You hear that, D-Nice? You saved another one. D-Nice saved another
my
life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. I mean,
But
who
you
would
also
have thought?
did you work during that?
I did. I started my podcast, Going to Bed with Garcelle. Then I also got the reel during the pandemic, and we did like 170 shows virtually.
Wow.
Which was incredible. And then Housewives, we shot here and there.
A lot of Haitian Americans had it rough, coming up, and and you speak to that experience growing up in Peabody, Massachusetts. Like, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I remember, when I first came to the United States, I didn't speak English. I literally sat and watched Sesame Street and learned, a few things. But I remember going to school and being the only kid in class where they were like touching my skin, touching my hair because they'd never seen it. And it was a culture shock. Yeah, it was in Peabody, Mass. Peabody if you live there, Peabody if you don't live there. It was just a culture shock. I mean, I didn't speak the language. I really hadn't seen a lot of white people. It was snowing outside. Like, I didn't know what was going on. But it made me adapt to new surroundings in everything I do. Like moving to New York at 17, being able to be in rooms that I thought that I didn't belong in, but I could adapt. I think that's what it made me,
Did you get teased for being Haitian?
Yeah, I mean, they thought, Haiti equated to AIDS and poverty. And so, yeah, that was hard.
You guys
and I
had it
never
rough.
thought about that. I never, I had such a strong, rooted feeling and love for Haiti that when I would hear that, I was like, what? Like, I never heard Haitians had AIDS or, do you know what I mean? And that was really hard. That was really hard because I love being Haitian and so proud of being Haitian.
It was so tough growing up. I'm from Queens Village, and Queens Village has to be like.
He's Dominican, so he's like a light
I'm
skinned
not
Haitian.
Dominican. I'm black. He jokes with me and says I'm Dominican. I'm black. But
Well, you said it was tough growing up.
No, I just said I said Queens Village was like the capital of Haitian people.
Yeah.
Like, so many people lived there. And I went to school. We all went to school together, and just the amount of they used to get fun of, they teased and made fun of. I would see them crying, but I would say one thing that I loved about the Haitian people in Queens Village, they all stuck together. They all rolled with each other.
They'll jump you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they jump you,
They
which I always respected and loved.
Yeah, there's something about us, like no matter if you have nothing, there's a sense of pride and faith and hope that Haitians have no matter what, no matter what's going on. I don't know where that comes from, but it's in us.
When did you first feel seen as a Haitian in America?
For the longest time, people would say Tahiti. Like they didn't know Haiti, and when they did, it was always negative because people only saw what CNN showed. Even now, if I go to Haiti, I'll post some beautiful photos, and other Haitians will say, "Thank you for showing something other than what we see." So when I think maybe when I was 18, 19, I felt like there was a shift.
I feel like the Fugees helped change that a lot too.
Definitely. I was going to say Wyclef. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I think definitely the Fugees, Wyclef, being so loved, the music having a crossover, definitely helped us for sure.
And your mom would be like, "You're not American."
Oh, she would say that all the time because I'd say, "I can't wait to leave. You're not American. That doesn't apply to us." I'm like, "Why would you bring us here then?" That was the running thing.
Now, what was your take on Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars?
Ooh, that one. Comedians do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to whoever's in the front row, you're a target, right? And I know Chris had a history with Jada in the past. I think there's never, ever, ever a time for violence. That's my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you reveal recently you had a history with Will briefly in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was a young ingenue actress, and I was on the show. I was, ingenue. I was, fresh off the, fresh on the scene, and I was an actress, and, single at the time, and I did a couple of episodes of the Fresh Prince. I also did Wild Wild West with Will. So we sort of had a connection, and we, dated briefly. Nothing to write home about. Mm-hmm.
When you were on the Real, right, and discussing topics and whatever's happening, did people ever get mad on reporting? Because, sometimes people would be like, "Oh, yeah, why did you discuss that? That's not true."
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing that comes with the job. But now with cancel culture, you got to be careful. But at the same time, I'm hired to give my opinion. That's my job, right? Like you guys. Mm-hmm. So that's a little tricky. The other day, my son was he was at a basketball game, and I came in, and he wasn't playing. We were watching the high school, and he goes, "Check your phone." And so I look at my phone because he was sitting in the student section, and he goes, "Didn't you have beef with? Is it Mo Money Bag?
Moneybag Yo.
Moneybag Yo." He goes, "Don't you have beef with Moneybag Yo?" And I was like, "No, not really." And he goes, "Because he's here." And I'm like, "Take a picture because I don't know who he is."
Why did you have beef with Moneybag Yo?
Well, because we talked on the show about his girlfriend bought him 28 acres of land.
Yep.
And I was like, as a girlfriend, you don't do that. You do that as a wife. That was my opinion. So then I guess he was like, "Fancy's coming for me." And so that's how it began. So when Jade, my son, texted me that, I was like, that's a crazy thing to say. Like, "Mom, do you have beef with someone?"
What was he about to do? Was he about to snuff her? What was he about to do?
He was just giving her the warning.
He just wanted me to, "No, Mom, he's here."
Hey,
Just in
stay
case,
alert.
Mom. Just in case.
So does that apply to the man? Like if I'm trying to court a woman and I buy 28 acres of land for her and she's not my wife yet? Does that apply to?
I would have a problem accepting that if I was just your girlfriend. Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm saying I would be uncomfortable with that because I'm just your girlfriend. I don't know where this is going to go. What if we don't end up together? Then what?
With so many people that were courting you, what's the craziest thing somebody's purchased for you that you were not with as a husband?
I once went to dinner with this guy, and the next day he had his assistant call me and say, "Can I have her passport information? There's going to be a car pulling up to take her somewhere." And I was like, "I just met you."
He's trying to flew you out. He's almost getting flued out.
I don't want to be flued out unless I really know you.
Listen, you had an opportunity to go to Hawaii with Michael Jordan.
Wait a minute.
Oh, back in the day.
But did you go?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go.
Okay.
No,
not with Jordan, with the other guy.
No, I didn't go.
Okay. Where was it? Where was it, first of all?
Thailand, I found out. I could have become a sex slave.
Yeah, you don't know.
No, thank you.
That's too far.
No, thank
And what
you.
happened with Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
You know what? I was a model, and this was obviously before Google or anything like that. And I was at Essence Magazine having a fitting for a shoot the next day. And they said, "You're going to be working with Michael Jordan." Now, the way they said it, I knew I was supposed to know who this person was, but I didn't.
You didn't know who Michael Jordan was?
No, I was 18 years old. I didn't know who Michael Jordan was.
What year was this?
I don't know. Back in the day. I'm not going to do the math. And so, but I could tell. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So then I go home and I called home and I was talking to my mom, and my brother was in the background. And I said, "I'm working with Michael Jordan." He was like, "What?" And so the next day, here's this beautiful, tall chocolate man come in, and we did the shoot the entire day, and we hit it off. He was really cool. And we hung out a couple of times. He tried to show me how to play golf. I was terrible at it. And it was just, a story to tell.
Wow.
But that was it.
What
he
was
try
your
to
best
fly you
first
out?
date ever?
My best first date. My best first date, I would say, he's not in the book. interestingly
Damn it,
enough.
man.
He didn't make the book, but
No,
Wasn't that
but,
memorable?
No, but I think it was just the fact that like flowers came, champagne came, and then I was picked up, and then we went to dinner, and then we drove to the beach. Like, to me, that's a cool first date. It's not about like a gift or anything like that.
and it's good when your personalities mesh really well.
Yeah,
and they
and
plan. It's
chemistry.
like planning.
And planning. We like men that plan. I don't know if you guys know that. Are you guys planners?
Yes.
Yes.
Because the worst is when they're like, "What do you want to do?
Ah.
Where do you want to go?"
Yeah.
Well, I'm not the best planner, but my wife, we got a bunch of homegirls,
Yeah.
so they plan things.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like for example, like for her 40th birthday, there's something I wanted to do, and once I said I wanted to do it, then like her homegirl Kim
Hooked
planned
it up.
everything. Yes.
Oh, I love
Salute to
that.
Kim. Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
I'm a planner. I do
Now,
everything
what's-
myself. I handle everything.
What's the cap on money when it comes to somebody who's not your wife? Because you said you take the flowers and whatever, and champagne. So what's the money cap?
I don't know what the money cap is, but it's how long I know you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know some girls want Birkins that
Immediately.
right, and I don't know. There's no cap. To me, it's more of the idea that you're thinking of me and you bought me something. It's not necessarily what the thing is.
And that's just
You know
your
what I
own
mean?
personal preference. It's not a rule for everybody,
No,
but for yourself,
Exactly.
you just wouldn't be able to accept that. I also don't like accepting gifts from people who I know I don't like. You know, some people don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But if I know, like, I'm never going out with you and I don't like you, I
Right.
would not want to accept a present from you.
Exactly.
But then that makes it feel transactional. Because somebody buy you a gift, you
But
just
if I
accept
like
it.
you, I know I like you, so
Like,
I feel better.
Yeah, but I shouldn't buy you something expecting anything anyway. I'm buying you something just
That's
correct.
the-
Yeah.
That would be the key, but not everybody's like that, though. Do You
Yeah.
know what I mean? For me, I like, if a guy says, I was getting gas and I went in and this is your favorite chocolate, I got you that. Like that to me, that's cool.
That is cool, but that Birkin though.
Shut up.
I'm just saying.
Would you marry one?
A Birkin? Nah.
No?
I don't even know what they look like, to be honest with you.
Have you ever courted a guy? Have you ever tried to holler at a guy opposed to a guy hollering at you?
Yeah, totally. I
Tell us
just did
about
that.
Tell us about it.
Just
Did
did
you
that.
slide in his DMs? How'd it go?
I actually sent him an email because I knew where he worked. So I sent him an email just saying, hey, we ran into each other and it was great chemistry. I could tell there was something there. And so I reached out and I was like, let me know when you want to have dinner sometime.
What if he thought it
Okay.
was fake? He was like,
No,
You know how you
knew-
send those emails?
yeah.
You get those emails
Yeah.
like, I'm stuck out here and I need $40,000 to go.
No, I think he knew it was me. And he responded. It was cool.
How fast did he respond?
Pretty quick.
Thirsty. He couldn't wait. Yes. Here's my number. Don't email me. Here's my number.
So does that mean you have to pay now because you asked him out?
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a good question. No.
Yes, fancy. Yes, it is.
If you ask
him.
Yes, it is.
No, I got
Whoever
it. You
asked.
didn't offer if you asked him out.
Now, I don't have a problem paying down the road, but I wouldn't pay for the first one.
But you asked him.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
asked him. It's 2022.
You're right.
It's 2022.
Damn it, you guys.
got
It's how crowded
He
here.
shouldn't let you pay.
Where
but
you gonna
should be
take-
like,
where you
I
gonna
got this.
take
And he
him?
should come and be like, no, I got this.
I got it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Yeah, would you look at him funny if you
Okay.
offered to pay and he let you?
That would be a problem. On the first date, that would be tough.
Just put it on the.
I know. I'm going to take it. Enough of this. On the first date, no, I think a guy should pay.
I agree.
Yeah. I think
Unless
they should.
they emailed me and asked me. Unless they emailed me and asked me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you okay,
yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Absolutely.
But I don't have a problem paying. Like, I don't have a problem sending flowers to a guy. If it's like Valentine's Day or his birthday, I think that's cool too.
I think that's really dope. Listen, it's fun, as crazy as it sounds. I'm watching a lot of men who want to be treated like ladies nowadays.
Oh.
In a good way, though.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
They do.
For a minute there,
I'm telling you, listen to a lot of these guys talk. All they're simply saying is
they're
they
getting
want.
flued out too.
Yes, they want love. They want that emotional
You don't like to be cold?
connection. I love it.
All right, so what's wrong with it?
I love it. Oh, I think you people saying you
Yeah.
gotta go.
One last question I
ask you
wanted
one
to.
more-
Yeah, I have another question too.
Okay.
So we were reading about J-Lo and Ben Affleck and how he proposed to her and
Yeah.
she talked about it and she's in the bathtub, the bubble bath, her favorite place. And you also discussed like, would you ever want to get married again and how you see your wedding and envisioning all of that. So if somebody were to propose to you, do you have it in your head like how you want to be proposed to?
No, not at all. I'd like to be surprised. I have no. Would I get married again? I would if I knew it was exactly the person I'm supposed to be with. Like, I want to hear God say, "This is him, Garcelle."
Goodness gracious.
I need to know that because I don't want to make a mistake again. I mean, not a mistake. I wouldn't want to get divorced again. So yeah, but I'm open to. everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got two quick questions. One is about fancy, and not just necessarily fancy, but people call you fancy so much.
Yeah.
Does it make it harder to ever get out of that character?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, because I really loved that character. That was a really pivotal time in my career. That and then doing NYPD Blue right after. So no, I don't mind it at all. No.
Okay.
And do you miss
I know
shows
who
like
I am.
that? Like the Jamie Foxx show? I just remember being young and watching those shows. Like you were excited to see the Jamie Foxx show, the Cosby show, and so many. Like we don't have as many as those anymore.
I know. I miss them. We need them. I think we need to start, people who have the power to greenlight shows like that. I think we should do that. We need that for our community, for everybody, but for us, specifically for us.
And the title, Love Me As I Am.
Yeah.
Break that title down, because it sounds like that's somebody who's gotten to a place of worthy.
That's the name of the book for everybody out there listening.
Yeah. Love Me As I Am is really, I am what you see. This is it. Do you know what I mean? And I want you to take me as you see me. That's really important to me. To be seen and to truly be of value.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I wanted to ask you, how did you find out the news about the reel? Because I saw people saying they saw it on the blogs.
Yeah, there were
before.
rumors on the blogs, but we didn't know until last week, actually, that this is our last season.
Wow.
Which is really sad, because I think we really are a niche in that market, and it's sad to see it go.
Do you have plans for something else coming up?
I have a few things up my sleeve, but I'm going to miss the show. I really, really enjoy it. I really love that platform.
Last question for me too. Okay. I know in the book I seen when I was looking through the book and seeing the pictures, I seen you as a Playboy bunny.
Yes.
And everything came out about Hugh Hefner and everything. When you were in your modeling days, how many times did men try to disrespect or try to use other ways to get you to do things? Was that big? And would you ever think about writing something about that to help these younger models?
Yeah, for me, back in the day, it was almost like boys will be boys. Do you know what I mean? That's how people took it. And for me, I really feel like my childhood and how strict my family was, that I was able to have boundaries even before I knew what boundaries were. And I think I really trusted my gut a lot. And that's all I had. So, yeah, there were times where people were out of control, but I took myself out of the situation.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us.
I enjoyed this.
Pick up the book, Love Me As I Am. And thank you for stopping through.
Thank you for coming. I enjoy you guys.
Well, you
I
came.
really do.
You actually came. We were here already.
Well, okay.
Thank you for having you.
Wow, he's a stickler. Goodbye, Charlamagne.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.